For over 3,000 years, the Valley of the Kings held its breath. Beneath these shifting Egyptian sands lay a silence so absolute, it formed an invisible barrier around the buried pharaohs. Howard Carter spent 6 grueling years digging into this dirt, yielding almost nothing. His benefactor was on the verge of pulling the funding entirely. Then a water boy stumbled upon a single stone step hidden in the debris. What followed was an exercise in brute force. Egyptian workers moved thousands of tons of rock and sand by hand under the blistering desert sun, clawing their way down into the dark. When Carter finally struck his chisel against the inner door in November 1922, he was physically breaching an environment explicitly engineered to be locked away for eternity. That single strike of a hammer shattered 3 millennia of isolation, unsealing a burial chamber that would soon become synonymous with a string of inexplicable tragedies. The strange occurrences started on the exact day the tomb was opened. A local cobra, the ancient symbol of the pharaoh's crown, slithered into Carter's house and ate his pet canary. To the local workers, the message was clear. The king's spirit was awake, and it was angry. Lord Carnarvon, the aristocrat who bankrolled the expedition, was the first to fall. A simple mosquito bite rapidly degraded into systemic blood poisoning and pneumonia. At the precise moment Carnarvon died in his hospital bed, all the lights in Cairo inexplicably went out. Thousands of miles away in England, his dog Susie reportedly howled into the night and dropped dead. A pattern quickly emerged among the wealthy elite who visited the site. George J. Gould, a prominent financier, died of a sudden fever. An Egyptian prince was shot by his wife. The radiologist who x-rayed the mummy died completely unexpectedly. These perfectly timed tragedies took a standard archaeological dig and warped it into a supernatural case file. The public, reading the daily death tolls, completely bought in. Modern science offers a much colder explanation. When a dark, damp room is sealed tight for thousands of years, it naturally evolves into an incredibly dangerous biological laboratory. This diagram illustrates the real killer, Aspergillus flavus, a highly toxic mold surviving centuries on afterlife offerings, waiting dormant for a living host. Carnarvon was the perfect target. Having extremely weak lungs from a prior car crash, inhaling these spores was a biological death sentence. Archaeologists also point to a tomb poison hypothesis. The ancient Egyptians were masters of chemistry. Modern measurements show some tombs emit radiation levels significantly higher than the surrounding bedrock, exposing explorers to naturally occurring heavy metals. You don't need a magical spell to draw up an explorer in their tracks. Sealing organic matter in utter darkness for 3 millennia naturally produces a highly effective biological weapon. Look closely at these charred remains. Howard Carter was the man who actually pulled the golden mask off this mummy. He breathed the exact same air as Carnarvon. Yet Carter lived for another 17 years, dying in his 60s of natural causes. The true engine behind the curse was the 1920s media. The London Times had purchased the exclusive rights to the tomb's discoveries. Competing newspapers were locked out of the facts, so they were forced to invent alternative, sensational angles to sell copies. Competing journalists weaponized human confirmation bias. Hundreds of people were involved in the excavation. A few of them dying of normal ailments or accidents perfectly matched standard mortality rates. But by cherry-picking the tragedies, the papers constructed a curse. The Curse of King Tut was essentially the world's first viral conspiracy theory, entirely manufactured by modern journalists exploiting a captive global audience. The legacy of the Golden Tomb is ultimately a collision. It is the intersection of a genuinely hazardous ancient biological environment and a ravenous, highly speculative modern press. But the ancient Egyptians held a very specific theological belief. They believed a person only truly achieves immortality so long as their name continues to be spoken by the living. This is the pristine golden mask of Tutankhamun. Before 1922, he was a completely forgotten boy king, erased from history. Today, his face is globally recognized. By breaking the physical seal, triggering the biological hazards, and hyping the resulting mystery in the daily papers, modern society unwittingly participated in an ancient ritual of eternal remembrance. Our fixation on a supernatural mystery became the very engine that keeps Tutankhamun's name in the global consciousness, granting him the precise eternal life he sought.